Join me as you and I you take a journey to become better writers together and geek out. All right, everybody's in the pool. Let's get this started. This is just going to be a wrestling crazy show, especially because we got such wrestling super show going on here. And guys, what do you guys think? Look. I feel like our pal is already ready for this. Look at this. Oh, man, we're ready to go. And, of course, Mr. PoppinTwist is over here. He's even inside the book himself, and he's in the game as well. This is just amazing.
I'm everywhere. You can't get rid of me.
And, of course, there's Steve Resk, the creator and the star of the show here. Dude, I am still amazed that you were able to create a card game that actually works because, you know, there's been a lot of people that tried doing a wrestling game, and it hasn't worked. Before you start, make sure you unmute yourself.
There we go. That would help.
All right, so
I'm unmuted. Wow.
So how did this come about? Because, you know, I guess before we talk about the comic, we're going to talk about the game, right? Or did the game come before the comic? Or did the comic come before the game?
It's like the chicken or the egg. Which happened first? The game
Exactly.
absolutely came first. I was a big wrestling fan. As you mentioned, that, you know, it's difficult to design a wrestling game. When I was a kid, I played WWE Raw Deal, a game I absolutely loved. A lot of people have played it. I don't want anything I say to sound negative because it was a huge part of childhood. It's definitely the reason I'm here. One half of the creators, Baron Vanger Toth, who had passed away, is still to this day one of my idols, and meeting him really impacted my life in a lot of great ways. The first book I ever read was because he recommended reading it, and I think that, you know, my life really changed for the better after I read a book for leisure for the first time. It like really sparked my interest in reading in general. So I'm very grateful for Raw Deal and the things that Baron had taught me and showed me. But I played Raw Deal my whole life, and I don't want to sound like a criticism because it was a great game. But Baron was a genius, and I think his genius kind of got in the way of himself sometimes because Raw Deal over time got very, very complicated.
Right.
And like other wrestling games, for me, it kind of felt like a game with pictures of wrestling on it, especially over time, more so than a game that felt like having a wrestling match. So when I first designed Supershow, there was a lot of inspiration from Raw Deal on what to do. There was a lot of inspiration on what not to do. And one of the things that I wanted to capture was making sure that when you sat down to play this game, you were going to immerse yourself in the fantasy world of wrestling. And the catchphrase was always, live all your wildest wrestling fantasies without ever taking a chair shot. I think that is really what helped Supershow be successful for so long, because it's a simple mechanic. And as most of our players will tell you, it really does feel like you're getting into a wrestling match. There's a dice rolling element, which makes it super unpredictable, and random, which are definitely words that I think you can use to describe wrestling. It makes it exciting with 3 counts and kickouts, and it really makes you feel like you're having a wrestling match for as long as it goes. And that was really my main goal, was to make a game that made you feel like you were in a wrestling match without ever having to throw a punch, or suplex, or chair shot. And some of the ideas that we had with title belts that pass around, and people creating federations, and a GM that hosts the tournaments and can get involved just the way a heel or a face GM can, it really took on the life that we always wanted it to, but, you know, times 100, where we never thought that we would have not only different promotions, but factions and territories and champions and people cutting promos. And this aspect of it, where people could get involved with a fantasy federation and play Supershow and get in the ring, and a rookie can end up winning a game, really helped Supershow take on like a bigger life than we ever imagined. And as you said, there are so many games that have been wrestling games that come out on Kickstarter. Sometimes they have big backing, but most of them don't last that long. And we're almost on our ninth year, which is really a great
Wow.
testament to how much people enjoy the game.
Did we lose him? Okay, there he is. Okay. he stalled there for a second. Yeah,
I saw.
dude.
Oh no, I was gabbing it up. So I'm sorry if I lost you guys for a second.
Oh no, don't worry about it. We lost you for a second. That's why I was like, oh, did we lose him? Yeah, but
You
no,
won't believe how much you're
excellent
losing
game.
me. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I know everything.
I said all cool stuff. Basically, Super Show took on a really great life of its own because the game makes you feel like you're having a wrestling match.
Right.
And we've always encouraged people to get involved and have federations and titles and factions. And they've really done an incredible job of bringing the community to life where it feels like real wrestling promotions with territories and rivalries and stuff.
I like the fact that you don't really have Hamanagers, or the Hamanager can actually come in and take something.
We've had some pretty crazy things happen. We were just doing a show, Talk of the Universe, and this year, by far, we've had the most rookie players hold major titles, and guys who just come in and have some crazy upsets. And that's really the exciting part. Like we all remember Santino Morello coming in and winning a title belt in the stand. Sometimes you feel that way when you're at these major conventions. You get some people who just go on a heater, or you get other people that were really good at other card games and they get a knack for it right away and they jump in, they win a title, and it's really exciting stuff.
That makes it feel like it is the wrestling, and like you said, I feel like that's the important thing here. You actually feel like the old days of watching wrestling on TV, and anything can happen.
Yeah, we have a lot of top guys and top players, but I can say with confidence in games like Magic the Gathering, especially Raw Deal was guilty of this. The learning curve is so high that somebody who's been playing for several years is almost invincible against a brand new player. Not only just the cards, just the body of knowledge. And Super Show has a lot of nuances that are strategy that people can learn, but you don't really get that much of an advantage having different cards compared to other things. And learning the basics of Super Show, such as the card numbers and what stops you can use where, is fairly simple. So I think a new player is able to learn that stuff rather quickly, where other games you have like a baffling amount of information that you could absorb before you could even play competitively.
So how did the game turn into the comic?
So I'll start from the very beginning of Super Show. When I had set out on let's call it a journey to start developing a game, I had a good reputation for gaming because of WWE Raw Deal. I did very well in qualifiers. I had been in the finals with my brother in a qualifier in New York City that my brother ended up letting me win to go on for the World Championship. So I had a good reputation. And I was approached by a couple of friends and players on designing a UFC game. And I had wrote up the mechanics for the game, and the other players had done the card pool. And this was something that we had tried to get published, and we pitched it to a lot of different people. And one of the main people that we pitched it to that was actually interested in hearing from us was Topps in Manhattan, who had a really great reputation for publishing, trading cards, Garbage Pail Kids, and Baby Bottle Pops, a lot of stuff. So it's been amazing to work with them. But when we started working with them, they really liked us and the product that we designed. And they had a feeling that I did agree with, that the people that would really be into trading card games would not be into UFC. So they had suggested designing a WWE game instead. And I thought this would be like a dream true, because to be honest with you, I don't even like UFC. I'm not a big fan of watching the sport. When I was younger, I trained a little bit, and knowing like how physical and how much pain these guys go through, I didn't really like watching people actually beat the heck out of each other. I like the fake stuff much, much better. So it's like a really exciting for me to be asked by a major company to design a wrestling game. The guys I had initially worked with did not want to do this. they wanted to stick with the UFC. So I kind of felt a little bit different, saying if a major company is giving you an opportunity like this, you got to take it. So I had written up Super Show initially, believe it or not, as a board game with very similar rules, but instead of being with cards, it would be in a board game. And part of this reason was because I loved the deal. I still to this day never wanted to replace it. And part of me felt like I'd be replacing a game I liked if I made a TCG. When I showed the board game to Topps, they really liked it. However, they in the market to produce card games. They wanted a true TCG, and I had adapted the same rules with the dice rolling and the characters. There were obviously some refinements that had to be made to turn it into a straight TCG, and that's what I had done. And liked the game a lot. And it seemed like they would promise me, they basically would say I would get a contract and we work with WWE. And I was very adamant about the fact that Topps also had the license at the time for things like Marvel and UFC, coincidentally, and Star Wars. So I was like, how amazing would it be to have this game engine where you could do like John Cena versus Darth Vader versus Wolverine, versus Brock Lesnar at the time, coincidentally enough. And they totally hated that idea. They said that there was almost no way that would ever get approved by all the departments, which I thought was a bummer because I think people would really love that. And
well, isn't that the issue with these companies? They have all these rights, and for some reason it can never happen. But like you're the company, you have all the rights. How can this not happen?
Yeah, and I joked with them, and I was like, well, you don't have to advertise that you could mix them like very publicly, but you could just make all the same game. And hey, if you're home and you happen to have this box and this box, nobody's going to knock on your door and tell you it's illegal to mix them. But they weren't really too fond of that idea. Which ended up being interesting because we'll get to the comic portion, I promise. This game was originally designed to be WWE and then maybe other stuff. But over time, I kept being promised things and nothing ever would come out of it.
Right.
And as somebody who had no real industry experience, I started listening to people saying, you got to copyright and trademark your stuff. They're going to steal your idea, which I don't think really is true. I think if they wanted to print a wrestling game, they could do what they've done with their other games, take a really bad mechanic and just stick wrestling on it, sell a bunch, let the game die and do it over again. So I was really worried about things that were unlikely. I don't think they would just steal my game mechanic. But I was getting to the point where I was spending more money trying to protect myself and worry about the rights. And it was just this really long, dragged out process. And every time I would talk to them, they would say, don't worry, you'll get a deal. We're working on it. And you wouldn't hear back. So eventually, I told myself I was going to use Gen Con as a cutoff. And if I didn't hear from them by Gen Con, I was going to produce the game by myself and make up my own characters. And I spent whatever money I had at the time, which was very, very little. It's amazing to think that I got some of the images for Supershow at under maybe $10 or under $10 per image. I produced the first 27 cards and 4 characters, as well as Super Ore, Snake, Big Shot, and the Rising Sun. And I only produced enough for a deck, just about. So rather than make it a trading card, I designed what I thought were the best cards.
Right.
And I said, let me just give them the best cards right in the box off the bat. I'll make the best overall card out of all these trading cards I developed, the best overall deck out of all these cards I developed. And I fit it through this with these 4 characters that we had made up. And it was at that time when I started making up the characters with the guys I was working with that I felt they needed to have more of a backstory. So as I developed the original characters, I always had the idea to have a storyline behind them, not necessarily a comic book, but at least backstories. And then there were 2 extra characters, D2, who's actually now part of the comics again, and the Masked Llama. Those were the first 2 people who play tested Supershow outside of my circle. The llama, that's it. We got a little llama love in the background. So I had developed those 2 characters. And from there, just the idea of these characters had to have a little bit more substance than just being generic luchadors and so on and so forth. So that's where the idea for backstory started going. And then as I would write Supershow sets, I began traveling a lot more, sometimes to go to different conventions, sometimes to go to different local stores. And as I do that, I jot down like matchups between the characters and started fleshing out would be the earliest stages of comics before I actually wrote a full issue. And Mr. PoppinTwist, I didn't get to do his intro before, so I'll do it again. When the balloon bending, fun sending, hero making, challenge taking, twist and pop and never stop and chew in the wrestling world, may be familiar with a place called Legendary Realms a while ago, and I went into Legendary Realms with the first comic issue that I had just on me at the time, not even going there to advertise. And there was a gentleman by the name of Ed Tubb, who to this day I think is one of the most talented artists I've ever met. He says he could draw. I was just talking to him. It was just been in there before like the action came through. And I gave him the script, and he drew the first comic book, which was only about 8 pages at the time. I actually went on to get his original panel drawings actually tattoo sleeved on my arm a very long time ago. I probably had this first panel book tattooed maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I'm here now going on to book 5. So the idea has been there for a very, very long time as the game was developing. Once I had some issues done, they were all over the place. I thought they were all very good. There was no continuity between them. Just like, I think it would be cool if these characters interacted. Some stories were written based on events like the CCC that Mr. PoppinTwist is here as one. But there were a lot of issues that I had wrote, but they had no real timeline, no real continuity, no real direction in the characters. And when COVID hit, which was an awful time for so many people, there were some positives of lockdown. One of the positives were I was given a little bit more time to work with Pat Mulligan, who became a very dear friend of mine, the co-writer on Supershow the comic, to flesh out these issues. And guys like Zach, who's here now, spent tons of time with me in the car, and we brainstormed some ideas and some characters. And through COVID, we were really able to get the comic books written with vision of what we would do with 12 issues and so on and so forth. And we funded the comic book through Kickstarter, and now we're here with the next 3 issues, which is actually live right now. And be able to have such a great, strong following of Super Show players, and a lot of them come support the comic books, which is, it really is related, but it's a different genre. Not everybody that's into trading card games loves reading books, and to see the the overwhelming support that we've had.
Right.
You see this one that's up on the screen that in just 4 hours. It's an incredible feat. We're really thankful and proud of that getting brought to life. But I hope that came full circle. You start with Top, hope for WWE branding, had to make up my own stuff. Once I made up my own stuff and it was very well received, I said, this stuff needs to have some substance to it. And I've always considered myself a creative type who loved the fantasy aspect. So really writing those characters from what went to, iPad notes to typing them on a computer to fleshing them out with, bi-weekly meetings, writing all the issues has really been an incredible ride for me personally. To have those comic books in my hand, which is something that we've been brainstorming for years, is really exciting for me. Super Show basically went from like concept to prototype to an actual product, I'd say within like 1 or 2 years, if you go from start to finish. And the comic books took much, much longer than that. And I feel like it's almost more work than a game in some ways, for me, because like the game kind of comes a little bit more naturally. So to see the paint on the work, to see Mr. PoppinTwist on screen right there has really been incredible.
Dude, when I saw him in the book, I was like, woo!
You did that. So did I.
It's just amazing, man. He's already a character, so I can just see this. Like,
he's a real life character.
There's no
and
leap.
The dialogue there, he'll tell you it's the truth. Like with dialogue, he called him up because he was in one of the issues that I wrote many years ago that's not a part of this block of 12 issues. Right? It was very centric on maybe future stuff in the LFF. So that was really fun. But this particular one, on the heels of funding the first two issues called the lead and follow up, I literally called him up. He'll tell you, and said, "This is the premise. What would you say in these situations?" And he gave us dialogue, and we almost took it verbatim.
Yeah.
And we did some funny spots in it where, like, his catchphrase, which I love, is a big part of the comic. And Mr. PoppinTwist drops it in every chance he can in the comic book, which leads to some funny reactions in the story. But this was actually dialogue that we worked on with Mr. PoppinTwist directly.
Yeah.
So I think we did a good job of capturing the character that he's created, which is very, heavily in his real life persona as well. Definitely lives the gimmick, so to say.
You have to. Well, I say so, like to like I said to Steve, I said, I've been involved with Supershow, the game, since 2015.
Right.
I refer to myself as a brand ambassador because when you're a guy like Mr. PoppinTwist, I'm a family friendly entertainer. I have to hook myself up with things that are going to be in that similar vein where we're drawing people from a variety of places. So I started playing the game first, and I said to Steve, after playing for a little while, I said, okay, look, how does Mr. PoppinTwist get into Supershow? And he goes, well, as luck would have it, we have this little competition coming up, and you could put yourself in, and you got to work your way in, and you can earn yourself in. You can get there, and it was a lot of work, and I was fortunate to squeak by with a couple of votes at the end and get put into the game in 2017.
Nice.
So I've been in the game since 2017. And I've made the promise. I made the promise to Steve and his wife. I made the promise to anybody, the top brass in Supershow and SRG, that once Mr. PoppinTwist got in the game, I was never playing anyone but Mr. PoppinTwist, and I've lived by that for going on 7 years.
Nice.
7 years.
Word.
And his character is really good, and I think you're being humble here, which is in character for you. The CCC is very, very tough. Number one, the internet can be a terrible place. It's, technology and the internet is incredible, but I don't have to tell you guys.
No.
You're coming out, you're putting yourself in front of a camera, you're getting out there trying to get yourself over. It could go very, very poorly for you. So being able to advance and continually advance is a lot of work. You have to constantly promote. And all rounds, not easy. We have general votes, we have tagging, we have sharing, we have promo contests. Sometimes we put you with a tag team partner, so you have to work with somebody else who might be more or less popular than you. And again, we have dozens of people. We usually knock it down to 24 entrants around that are fighting for the same prize as you are. And that prize started off a little cheaper. Now a creative character could be $900 to $1,000. So it's $1,000 prize on the line. The event lasts just about a year. And it's a lot of work. Derek was able to pull through, and I'll tell you, other people that have won, like the Trash Man and Sierra Nevada, it is not something that you're just going to stroll in and win. You got to really go out and earn it. And Derek did exactly that. And the character is been a mainstay for a very long time. So not only what he did was impressive, keeping the character fresh and relevant for this long has really been awesome too.
Well, the cool thing about it is I always refer to Mr. PoppinTwist because it's like it is a persona, like Pee Wee Herman to Paul Rubens. It's something I have to put on. Is it a good chunk of me?
Pee Wee Herman has
other
real
characters?
Name. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Steve called me PoppinTwist. He hasn't called me my real name. That's the first time I think he's used my real name in 2 years. But like the thing about it is, so I always refer to myself as a tertiary character in pro wrestling. So it's like Mr. PoppinTwist is a real character. It is living the gimmick. It is a thing. The one aspect that's awesome about Supershow, especially is with people who get into the game, is they kind of create a persona for themselves they would want to be inside the game. And I always say, well, I'm the first one. I am who I say I am, and I am the character I play, and I am in the game. So I have to walk a finer line than some, But no, it's a great place. It's a great thing to be affiliated with. I've had a lot of fun over the years. It's just you can't. if you're a wrestling fan, I tell people when I'm promoting the game, if you're a wrestling fan, you can't not love Super Show. If you are on the fence about wrestling, and you're still going to love Super Show. If you don't like wrestling, okay, you might have a hard time Super Show because it's about wrestling. But if you even understand the idea of it, you're going to have fun in this game. And as Steve said, it becomes an event. Like, it's not just sitting at a table and flipping cards. You're sitting at you're sitting at a table. You're getting animated. You're throwing comments. You're throwing lines.
We
People
have
are
players who don't
cheering.
break character in game, and
Right.
that's amazing for me to see. It's super fun and entertaining. And we've
It
had
is
some
amazing.
really wild gimmicks where people were plague doctors, and going back many years, wouldn't speak the whole match. They would only communicate during texting because they didn't want to affect people around them. And like seeing that in a game, in a tournament, was incredible. And we have other people, again, no matter if they're playing a heel character, you might have a real rough time playing against them, obviously within reason, but like they'll haggle their opponent the whole way through. And like that's really gives you the wrestling feel more so than other stuff. Where a lot of other games, there's nothing. Where it's almost like chess match, where people are super serious all the time. So if you go to a Super Show event and you look around tables, it's a much different feel than if you're looking at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament or a Magic the Gathering tournament. And that's something we really love.
I have to say, like,
You also mentioned
I know
the
what you guys are saying, because as I started looking, going down the rabbit hole for the research on this, it just started to like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is fun. This is amazing. And this is just me looking at what I'm looking at. It's not even seeing the game the way it plays. It already has a feel outside of that where you're like, oh, this is interesting.
Oh,
yeah, and like
But
titles
the
and stuff
time.
make it fun too. Because like what I love about Super Shows, it becomes like a wrestling promotion. People tune in to watch live stream matches where nothing essentially is on the line, but it's just two characters they like the way they feuded for 2 weeks online, and you want to see who wins. Who's going to get those bragging rights. And the part that makes it really fun and at times difficult is wrestling is scripted, right? Spoiler alert. We can't script Super Show, no matter how many people may accuse us of it, because it's a dice rolling game. So like even when we're convinced that like our guy is not going to drop title to this random person, sometimes it does happen because the dice just don't go in your favor, and that makes it super exciting because you really don't know what'll happen. Where like wrestling, you can have a hunch, but it also makes it crazy because you have some wild card victories, and now somebody you didn't expect is holding a major prize in your company, walking around with a title over your shoulder. So it's definitely an exciting ride.
So what happens if this person comes in out of nowhere, wins the title, and disappears?
We've seen it all. I mean, it's happened. We've had a 24/7 title. We're at PAC this weekend. Sometimes we've had somebody take the title and like maybe not show up for a day, and sometimes it's not malicious. They just didn't expect to come back, and it's really funny because then they become like public enemy number one for 200 people at the convention. They didn't even know. We were waiting for that 24/7 title to return. So yeah, sometimes it does happen. We try to use our best judgment, and I would say that if we're getting a title opportunity, number one, please understand that titles are for storylines. So some things that you might not be a fan of can happen. You find yourself in a triple threat or a handicap match or at a disadvantage on purpose because we're trying to tell a story when we book. But it is definitely a vote of confidence towards you at this point if we pick you and put you in a title situation, because it means putting a lot of trust and faith in you as a person, not only to return our expensive property, but to represent us and somebody that we can put on stream or make the main focus of a live show at a convention. So now being a part of that title belt picture, because of all the experiences we've had over the past few years of it, is definitely saying like, hey, we have some faith in you. Don't let us down.
It's all important, yeah, because now you're becoming part of the community. It's like a major role-playing game.
Yeah,
There are
it can be
aspects for
tough.
sure.
Like you're the champ, you're the center of attention, right? And now you lose the title belt, and there's 4 people qualified. You might not get a rematch for a very long time. And sometimes that's tough for a player because you went from like the guy to like back down to the ham and egger, as you said, the mid card, or back to the mid card you go. So like sometimes that's difficult for players as well.
Okay. I thought we lost you for a second. Oh man, it sounds like a lot of fun. I can see how this builds up into a comic book. You guys are doing pretty good here. You guys are funded already, so now all
Yeah.
the extra money is to make sure that the game and the books keep printing and keep moving forward. And like we like to say here is like, even if the people fund, doesn't mean that they are where they're supposed to be. Keep helping them out, keep supporting them because they need that extra money to just keep the project going. Nobody's making money here. All that money that goes into these projects just goes into the project.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
the
that's
cool.
definitely
Yeah.
true. I mean, Super Show games, we've had a lot of success with our Super Show funding, and that is profitable. It's not as profitable as people think because there's a lot of expenses with Kickstarter,
Yep,
shipping supplies,
exactly.
Kickstarter fees, but it definitely is worthwhile for the company. I can say the comic books are very expensive to produce. We don't print on cheap paper. We use a local United States-based printer. We're printing on a stock that's about double the thickness of regular comic books, so it's not very floppy. So we print a high-quality book. Artwork is not cheap, graphic design and stuff like that. But I don't want it to sound like a negative. I am so grateful that even if we get to a break-even point or close to break-even point, to be able to publish books of a story is just an incredible feat. And I am very confident, and I'm always optimistic about what we do. I am very confident that like once we have the 12-part series, it's going to tell a really amazing story and it can open up a lot of doors of opportunity. And so to be in somewhere where we could, break even, make a little bit of money, or it costs a little bit of money, I feel like it's such an amazing investment that this is just such a big step for us, and these Kickstarter are really important. But it's different from the game. The game, we launch a Kickstarter, it does well. Now it guarantees us, okay, we could go to Gen Con this year, we could go to Origin, we could do this, gives us future
Exactly.
planning.
Hmm.
This doesn't do that, and we try to really support our players with a lot of stretch goals. Right now, we're giving you 4 Kickstarter exclusive characters if you're backing a book. And we have a lot of content that you can unlock, including prints and stuff that are community goals based on, spending money or
Right.
commenting or back numbers. And again, to me, it's at a breaking point, and we have 5 books published. This is incredible,
It's impressive, and I gotta admit, like I like your pieces here where you have either cameo, star in the book, and these tiers are like, dude, a dream come true for like wrestling people. You got a pledge of 200 for a cameo. You got a pledge of 500 for like a half spotlight in the book. You got a pledge of 900 for a full page spotlight. Dude, that's just amazing. If you ever wanted to see yourself in a comic book, here's some stretch goals to get you in,
and
or
that really
as a wrestler.
and try to like really give you value on that, because the spotlight pages, you're getting really incredible custom artwork from one of our artists, Elvis the
Right.
Grandpa. And if you guys, I'm sure you're familiar, custom artwork is not cheap to
No,
do.
it's not cheap.
You got all this stuff, but we also, not only that, like a lot of the players that support this support the game. So we use that for custom art in the game for extra cars and characters.
That's what I was thinking.
Which is like a ton of money anyway on the website. So you almost get it as a bonus included with it. So, you spend $200 to be in the comic book. You're getting 6 books plus all the add-ons. 3 of those are Kickstarter exclusive. You're featured in it. Then we use
Right.
that panel that we created for a Super Show the Game card that you get access to. So
Right.
we really try to give a lot of value for those people that go above and beyond, especially this time of year when they're going to $200+ to bring our project to life. So we're really trying to give a lot of extra value with that, besides the cool thing of you just being in the book, which in itself is probably a great value.
But I feel like it's a double thing because I feel like if you're in the book, there's a possibility of you getting into the game. You know, there's more to it than you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. You literally, like, if you picture the panel, you pick the panel that you're in, you showed one of the pages with Mr. PoppinTwist or some silhouette character that was
Exactly.
built. That panel will be pulled and put on a Super Show card. So even if you're not a playable character, you're actually in the game, in the world right there. And that's always a cool experience because our fans love to collect autographs with people in the game. I know that people will be at PAX with their binders. So, like, if you have a card that's
Oh,
featured
that's
there,
cool.
don't be surprised. Mr. PoppinTwist, I'm sure you signed a ton of stuff in your day at this point. People love to add to the collection. And, like, we even like to take them and give them away in products as mystery boxes because, I mean, I feel it's so cool that your persona has this amazing value that the community loves pulling. It makes it a little special autographed.
I think Ralph just wants to be in the game and have an autograph of himself.
All right.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, if I had the money, I'd do it in a second.
Me too. Me too.
Dude,
What
yeah,
cool-
that's the dream there. You know, everybody wants to be part of wrestling because that was what we would do when we were kids. We would be put on our own personas, jump into the ring, do our own thing, and that I feel like you're hitting a good place here, where people are like, wait, can I find the money?
I've actually been a part of a promotion twice.
I got to know
But-
you guys give it's now or a kid. We all had them growing up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
If,
I know
if you guys would do in Super Show the game, what would character be?
And like I said, I know PoppinTwist is already a character because we love running into him at the conventions, and that's why he ends up in the trailer half the times because he's a blast.
I appreciate the support. I always like being seen. But as I've made the comment about Super Show, as Steve will say, there are champions in this game. There are really hardcore players. I'm a hardcore player of I'm a hardcore supporter of Super Show. I refer to myself as the hillbilly Jim of Super Show. I don't win a lot of matches necessarily. I don't win the titles. I mean, I win matches. I don't win titles. But it's always a good time when you play against Mr. PoppinTwist. That's all I ever promise.
And you've had some strong showings at locals. Can't say you haven't. I've seen you up there in the finals a couple times.
Oh, I'm trying. Yeah, but I'm okay. I'm happy to be in the mid
Broken
card.
clock is right twice a day. You've been
Exactly.
there.
The sun always shines on a dog's butt some days, right? Everybody wins occasionally.
Well, this is just an amazing piece of work of the game and the book, and like I said, it just feels like a being able to go back to being a kid and just throw yourself into what you loved. And we would watch this stuff like every week and just go have fun. It was almost like when you were a kid and you saw the kung fu movies and you run outside and you all start doing all the kung fu moves.
Oh,
As a
yeah.
kid, I wanted to be a wrestler or a superhero, right? And a Super Show really lets me do a little bit of both.
Yeah, both.
As we mentioned before, what I love about the Super Show comic is, and the game. The game is very, very centralized in wrestling. Wrestling, one of my favorite things of all time. But it definitely has evolved. When Super Show first came out, it was very, very exclusively wrestling. Everything was wrestling moves. As the community grew, I started doing things that I thought I never would do, and having characters be like supernatural themed. A character right in front of me, Romeo 3000, based off
Right.
the movie Romeo 3000. This guy's a cybernetic arm. We've had characters that have alt art description where they transformed into a dragon, exclusive for Dragon Con.
Nice.
And those things were very, very well received. So much so that we actually did a full-fledged anime set called Ikazo, where they actually had guns and swords and spell casting abilities and some rules of Super Show, and you could cross them over with wrestling. I mean, I would love to have AJ Styles versus a summoner in real life. Wrestling is not much different from that. Wrestling basically implies supernatural powers as well. And we also released stock sets that were the Marauders, the Multiverse, the Cosmic Crusaders, and one set that was called Time Warp, one of our Kickstarters, which literally came up with this crazy storyline that merged the Ikazo universe and the the sci-fi universe of the Cosmic Crusaders and the wrestlers all together. And our comic books are based around this wrestling federation that Rock Newman has created, but in a world where the wrestling is real. And that's what I really love about the wrestling, is they're actually people that are fighting. So like they're basically like living the gimmicks in real life, and you could do that in a. But it's actually, there is supernatural elements to our comic book, which is what I really love, which sets us apart from other wrestling themed comic books. One of the main central areas of the first season is El Hombre is a competitor who's fighting for the right to wear the Hombre family legacy. About the Hombre family legacy, and they have what's known as the gift of 100 boons, which is basically like a supernatural ability that they have. They're able to use 100 times. That's the legend of his grandfather, El Jefe Hombre. So you have sort of supernatural element and magical effects tied into somebody building a real wrestling company, and I think that makes it really fun to read and write as it goes on.
Yeah. I completely agree. I feel like it's funny because a lot of people go, "Oh, but it doesn't belong," and you then go, "Dude, the Undertaker is a total supernatural character." You know,
Right.
Of course, it belongs in wrestling. You know, wrestling is what you want to make it.
And I think wrestling really embraced that a little bit more than it had maybe a decade ago.
Yeah.
But you've always Taker and Kane, and guys with being a vampire or undead, but just wrestling at its core value, right? If you walked up to me and in the face, let alone powerbomb me on the ground, the fact that I could either get up after that, like, implies some sort of supernatural strength from the average person, and I think that you could really embrace that with like different characteristics from the comic book, like somebody might have a healing factor, which could be real in the storyline, as opposed to, somebody like John Cena, who's just like impossible to put down. But you could actually tie in those supernatural things. And I think it flows really well. Like, if you're into Jim Cornette style wrestling, where you want everything to be old school, like very true to it, then maybe you don't enjoy the fact that some people might have magic abilities or different things. Like, we have a character who's far great and powerful, who's introduced later on. He's been a character for a while, but he's a fortune teller who actually can predict the future. And you could do that in a story of a comic book where it's a little bit more believable than as a wrestling fan when you're watching on TV. Some people get a little bit wishy-washy with that.
It's so funny because it's really all about the story. It's always been about the story. Wrestling is, they used to call it men's soap opera because that's what it is. It's all about the story. You're invested in the story. The wrestling is something bonus, but the story is what you're sitting there going. That's why when The Rock and the rest of them came out and they started doing all this trash talking, it was fantastic because now that was this pageantry that was happening, and you were like in the middle of it.
Oh, absolutely. I love that aspect of it. And I really love that Supershow community has kind of taken that pageantry on. And, we give awards at the end of the year, and some people really just do such a good job of not only building a promotion, but feuds that last for months. And people just love to watch it to see what's going to happen between, friends that were making up a character, making them go back and forth. So like that pageantry spilling over into a game is really like my dream come true. Because I remember playing wrestling games, and again, some people would go there be very serious. How much fun somebody had was based on their win-loss record. And like Supershow, some people go 0-4, and like I had the best week of my life,
Right.
And that's what, like, the beauty of wrestling, just being involved in that drama and being fun with it.
Just amazing. It really, like, it does bring you back to all that kid. It has that really heartfelt feeling of that. I think that's where you're doing well with this. You just have that feeling of imagination, of fun, of having a blast. And it's funny. We were talking about this recently, where the whole idea that I'm surprised there aren't more wrestling based comics, because it's such a concept where you can play with so much in so many different directions. It's such a superhero concept set up in the wrestling world.
Exactly. And as I mentioned before, I love the fact that when writing a comic book, all of it can be real in that world.
Exactly.
Right? Like there's no like this is not they're getting together to do a wrestling promotion where the matches are booked and scripted. This is you guys are meeting under a fortune cookie factory and they're gonna literally fight until somebody is knocked out in in their real world, and then back to their job where they're using a hidden identity, with a black eye or a broken arm or something. So it's really cool to write it where it doesn't have to be scripted. It's weird because it is clearly scripted because it's but like in the world they're actually fighting.
Exactly. No, we get what you're saying, and it makes total sense. And like I said, it's so much fun. It again, I feel like I'm so surprised that somebody hasn't translated more often, because it's so set up for you. I guess the whole thing is that you need to figure out how to do it well, because you can just do it and then fall apart. But that's the same thing with the card games. You guys actually were able to figure out how to do the card game so it wouldn't fall apart.
And I appreciate that. When I developed Supershow, I really tried to draw with longevity. And one thing that Supershow does that no other game has done before is all the cards in the game are numbered. So you have to play with cards numbered 30. This keeps the game very balanced and fair because every time we develop a number 8, we compare it to all the other number 8s that existed and make sure they're on the same power level.
Right.
Best of our abilities. So that sort of sets you up where the game could go on for a very long time because over time you get different options, and those options aren't always necessarily better. Where other games are literally designed, I've been behind the curtain with them, where they have to make cards increasingly better over time, or else there's no reason for people to spend money on them. And then that they literally have like a built-in bubble that eventually pops, where it gets to a point where people can't spend enough money to compete with the people that have been around for a while, and the players to drop off. So we've noticed, because the game was built for longevity through different stipulations and characters and cards numbered, the game is built to last for a long time. And we hope that we have 20 more years of success around for decades to come, like other games.
So,
go ahead.
No, you.
I was gonna say, there I am. I'm putting the link in the comments section so you guys can go check it out. That's the Kickstarter. Make sure you guys support as much as you can. Like I said, the more money that these projects get, the more money they can put back into it, the better they can make the whole thing. So
and we give away more. And I want to say again, thank you to everybody if they contribute anything. If you post it to a comic book group or a wrestling group, that means a lot. If it's not in your budget right now and you could spare $1, that backer number, getting those numbers up, 10, 12 people put $1 in, they'll look at it, oh, it's only $12. 12 more backers on your backer list means a really lot to the campaign.
Yes,
It's a little more attractive. It means eyes on people's future that I want to get involved. So I know some people might not think it's in their budget, but they want to help. And I'm telling you, we greatly appreciate when we see people's name on there for $1, because that says that, like, hey, I believe in your product. I want to see it do well. And at the end of the week, if it goes up $2, that's still it going up. That backer number is very, because it balances out. Put $1 in, but then some people put 500 in, so it's kind of make the whole project a little more round. So yes, again, everything is appreciated. Like, share, or comment, but if you could back even just $1, it does mean a lot to the campaign. Those $1 really do add up.
And what's another cool thing about it is, I know we're talking about the higher tiers that get in the comic book and everything, but what's also cool on the other side of the coin is we're already funded right now, which means that it's almost a sure thing. If you come in at a lower number, you're going to get the lower tier reward, but you're also going to get all the stretch goals that come along with it. So it's kind of like getting a lot of free stuff just for coming in at $30, for example, or $40, for example. You get the comic books and you get a bunch of cards that we've all unlocked because of the support of the crew. So it's kind of a sure thing,
Right,
as it
but
were.
you're getting 4 competitors. Now, competitors sell on our website for $15 each, and these are Kickstarter exclusive ones, so they'll be more than 50. So, like a lot of our players at the end of the campaign will throw in they'll create a second account just to get the extra add-ons, which we're all for. You know, if you back for all 3 books, then you have access to some of the community goals, which will get you even more stuff than just the people backing at 1. So there are a lot of cool incentives for people going and doing more. But again, it's not on we're at the end of the campaign. Somebody might make 4 accounts, just like 4 set exclusives that are going to be worth $25 each, you know, towards the end. And again, that really helps us at the end. You know, more backers, more money allows us to commission the next books with confidence. So if you want to try to take advantage of the system, by all means do it. You know, that we encourage that in a lot of ways.
You know, as gamers, we're always trying to figure out a way to get under the system.
Yeah. And I'm
so
hoping.
Matt, you were going to say something?
Yeah, Matt, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries, no worries. So, like, as the local anime fan, I would be remiss, and I believe the community would be at my throat if I didn't mention. Do you have anything in regards to either an homage or an Easter egg in relation to Tiger and Bunny, or no?
Oh, I very minimal pop culture experience, especially in anime. I've watched like some anime. I'm not even sure what that is, and I probably have players in the game that will like hang me for that, because we do have a lot of very anime themed characters. There's a characters called the Warlords of the Sea, which I think very heavily inspired even in the art style for One Piece. Those look really amazing. Then we have a character in there, Dr. Dick Thunderlips. You heard me correct. And he has a lot of different variations. He really is a pioneer in some of the anime stuff where, you know, there are other versions of him. A lot of his finishing moves have words that I cannot even pronounce, but I know that they're from a lot of anime lores. And there have been a lot of players that are big anime fans that open up his character and they totally mark out for the things that, like, I'm not sure I understand. So we do have a lot of anime references because fans get to create stuff, but I don't know what anime that is. And I got I don't want to spoil some of the people that are going to be surprising this weekend coming in that are huge anime fans. They might be watching this later and screaming at me that I don't know what this is.
That way you're not entirely screamed at. It's a very, very popular anime based around wrestling and sort of more so the superhero aspect of wrestling and sort of how it expands into real life.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I have a friend walking in right now. He's on his wrestling door. It's not. What was the name of it?
Tiger and Bunny.
Tiger and Bunny.
Tiger and Bunny. Loudmouth Leo. Ever heard that anime? He has not, but Zach might have. I don't know where he was. He's a big anime fan. But I will look at. That seems like a lot of fun. Our anime world that we created is called Ikazuko, and it also fuses with the Time Warp characters. And we've been working with developers of those characters to have you're amazing. To have an anime storyline down the line. It's going to be like this comic book. That probably won't come for years until we flesh out. But we do have some anime ideas that would be really fun to flesh out time too.
That's my secret and not so secret goal is to get Mr. PoppinTwist the balloon bender into Ikazuko.
So the world is really cool because it doesn't change anything, but we added this concept of different classes, right? And you have Goliath, Summoner, Cyber class, Warrior, Assassin, and Loudmouth. Why am I blanking on the 6th one? Gunslinger. Thank you. See, he's so sharp. What would PoppinTwist be? Would it be a summoner? He summons balloons. Yeah. I think he'd be a summoner. That'd be pretty cool. I think you are a summoner in the game actually right now.
Yes, according to the ability scores, I am. Yes.
Yep. Spinning balloons would be pretty awesome and animating them.
Oh man. All right, so we're close to the hour mark. So where can they find you? Both of you gentlemen, where can they find you? How can they get all this exciting stuff? How can they be part of the wrestling world that is Super Show? Let's have all that information. Go for it.
The main place where you can get information on the game and where to purchase it is supershowthegame.com. There are actually some great fan websites as well, the srgpc.net that has like a full database of cards that have been out. We have a Facebook page, which is pretty active. We also have a Super Show discussion group, which over 1,000 active members. It is approval invite, so there's not, inflated numbers or bots. That is a really cool place for Super Show because fans post their own videos, not only things that we advertise, but this is the fan-made community aspect of it. There's also a Discord page. We're active on Discord. And one of my favorite aspects of Super Show is our Twitch page, twitch.tv/SRG Universe. We do a Tuesday night show called the Super Show Dojo, where if you're a subscriber, you could be randomly chosen to play against the house. If you win, you get a card for you and a friend mailed to you of your choice, absolutely free. If you are defeated by the staff puts the item on sale for people to buy. So it's a really great thing that new players can get free stuff. The crowd could actually interfere in matches to sway roles in one person's direction. So it's actually really great because people hook up a lot of new players if they're there on Tuesday with their play it forward prize. Or if not, even if they lose, the item that they wanted to buy then gets put on sale discounted. Wednesday, we do a show called Talk of the Universe where we do a recap of the week. We talk about your projects. Nice. We do spoilers. And then on Thursday is a show that we just added this year that's been really popular. It's called Expanding the Universe, where art pieces are built in real time online. So if you created a character or want a character, we bring them in as a guest. We bring art assets on the screen. We develop it. We talk about your character's gimmick and skills for a few hours, and we actually design the cards that are coming out live on a show. That's really fun. And on Sundays, we do what's called Sunday Night Fights, where some of the title matches, storyline matches are booked on Twitch. Watch the matches. So 3 great spots: Facebook discussion, twitch.tv or /SRG Universe, and Super Show.
It's a breathing, living universe. The way you're discussing all this, everything's intertwined, everything's going into each other. That's amazing. That's fantastic. Some organizations will die to have this. What you have here.
Thank you. Yeah, the ultimate compliment, because that's really what we had set out to build, and I'm really fortunate because a lot of things that I had mentioned 6 or 7 years ago, guys like Loudmouth Leo have been here all the time making it happen. Always said, we want to build federations, we want our own convention, we're able to pull it off. We want to have comic books, we want to literally build a universe. We named the company SRG Universe, and to have accomplished so much with basically not many resources in the industry is something we're very, very proud of, and we know that if we keep up the work that we're doing, we can keep growing into different things.
That's pretty decent. And now, Mr. PoppinTwist, you can jump in there, throw your chair.
You can find me anywhere. You can find me as Mr. PoppinTwist, all one word, MrPoppinTwist. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. My website is down at the moment, but because I'm rebuilding it for the new year. You can find me on TikTok, but I don't do dances, so don't look for dances from me on TikTok. I don't do them. You have 2 more weeks to vote for me for Best of Long Island, nominated in 3 categories again this year. So nice. You can find me in the Arts and Entertainment. So you can vote for me that if you want to throw me a vote, I wouldn't mind. And you can find me anywhere on Long Island doing what I do.
Yep, especially this weekend because this weekend you're going to be somewhere on
Oh, this
Saturday, right?
weekend, that's right. This weekend I will be at East Meadow for the MCon Winter Chiller event, which is their Halloween MCon event, just pushed back to the Christmas season. I'll be there all day. I'll be twisting from a short menu of some themed pieces, like some Jack Skellington stuff and some winter stuff, and just some fun little pieces. I'll be there all day and just having a good time.
That's awesome. I would love to check that out. We do our Halloween on Christmas release as well. So that's super fun and thematic. I didn't
You can't check
mention
that. You're in another state right now, Steve. You can't be there this week.
that I am at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia.
Nice.
We have a really amazing space. We have a 20 to 30 space plus a little bit of a play area. So if you are going to PAX Unplugged, you will probably hear us. Ring bell. We have Loudmouth Leo with his megaphone, which are our neighbors. But
PAX
please
is
don't
always a
buy
great
PAX.
from
place.
here.
PAX is always a great place to go, dude. If you guys are at PAX, go check them out. You can actually get a hands-on approach of this super show.
Yeah, I give thumbs up to PAX. I love Origins Game Fair. Gen Con you just have to do, as painful it is for everyone. But PAX is a really great company to work with. They are really organized. They always put on a good show. So I like PAX as well.
There you have it, folks. Make sure to check out Mr. PoppinTwist and make sure to check out Steve Resk and his Super Show. This sounds like a great universe to be a part of, whether you're watching, playing, or just enjoying the comic. So do yourself a favor and go support the Kickstarter because, like we like to say, the more money you put into it or the more you share it with other people, because like Steve was saying earlier, the more you share, the more I see it, the more other people can do something with it. Maybe you can't, and hey, if you got $1, you can always put it into it because it's still supporting.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
No problem. So guys, who's gonna go first?
I will. So, Steve, you seeing how much of a wrestling fan you are, like myself, you may remember the Monday Night Wars and a certain event that happened on January 4th, 1999, when Mick Foley won the WWE Championship for the first time. A certain person in WCW, while this was going on, had called a certain spoiler saying that he was going to win.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone. That was actually a cool book. That book was actually live when one of our Kickstarters were live, and I think I put in the description something about butts and seats. So if you search that, ours also came up. But yeah, that's it. Those books are doing very well. I think there's a follow-up for that one as well with Arn Anderson, and the fact that sometimes we don't do as well with those big names, but being able to have a hangs with a huge name like Tony Schiavone, who had such an iconic call, that was the most iconic ever. Other ones in general is really something amazing. But yeah, how do you feel? I don't know if you asked me how I felt about that situation, because that was some dirty tactics. But that was actually the turning point, because I was actually watching back between two of them, but after Mankind won the title belt, I was really invested in WWE. I love that aspect of it.
Well, I didn't exactly. I mean, you saw what I had all over my shoulder for the first half, but it does have a signature on here.
Is that
Jordan? We had a perfect segue.
Oh.
We had a perfect segue.
And then he mentioned it, so I'm like, well, I can't do it.
Yeah, but he has to show it off. Come on.
No, but
there you go.
Oh, beautiful.
I know it's backwards, but it is Kane's signature.
No, it's clean here.
It looked good over here.
Yeah.
My favorite duos during that era. And Kane really was another one who's a supernatural being. So he really a lot of inspiration for what we did as well.
And now we have people like Bray Wyatt.
Well, I'm grateful is back, man.
Oh, same.
I love to.
Yep, me too.
But you know who his favorite wrestler is? Do
Arn
you know?
Anderson, baby.
Exactly. And if you checked us out on Monday, you know we talked to Mr. Dirk Manning about this
I was
book,
getting ready.
Art Anderson. Yeah, no, you lost it 3 times, man. I'm taking over your segue.
No, not that. But I was getting ready to like reach over through the camera and backhand you if you got the name wrong again.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dirk Manning was on Monday, and he was talking about Arn Anderson, and they are doing very well. They
Yes.
have funded. They're at 24,178,
Good for
428 backers, 15 days to go. Do yourself a favor, go check out the Arn Anderson "My Life as an Enforcer" story. Dirk Manning did a great job of putting it together with his crew, and you will not be remiss, especially if you like wrestling, like we've been talking about today. Both these projects will be right up your alley.
Yep.
You can also check it out at arncomic.com.
That is arncomic.com.
Yes,
arncomic.com.
Arncomic.com.
Exactly.
Wait, is it at arncomic.com?
Yes,
arncomic.com.
Oh, okay, I got it right. I heard it. Someone told me that. I know what it was.
Yeah.
Who's next? What's next?
Wrestling.
You know what's next.
Wait, what's next? That Mick Foley bought me this shirt. Is that what? I'm sorry.
Ooh. I met Mick Foley. He's a nice guy.
Me too.
It was a lot of fun to talk to him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wonderful.
He's fantastic.
Mr. Pop probably the best at everyone here, but we've always tried to give him stuff for his charities when we've seen him, and he's always been super kind and humble, and he really is. Any interaction I've ever had with him has been really amazing.
Exactly.
So, the guy.
Believe me, I was amazed. I was at New York. New York Comic Con, and I was helping out in one of the booths, and he was sitting there the whole day with me, and he's the nicest guy you've ever met, man.
Yes, absolutely. I met him last year.
He is. Noelle was amazing. We spent time with her and Frank on the cruise of Jericho, and she was just really, really, beautiful personality, super sweet, a lot of energetic. We played Supershow with her. She loved it. So, the apple fall far from the tree in that regard. She's another amazing person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. All right. So is there anything else we're talking about, people?
Nathan wants you to pull up the...
Well, we have Good Boy if you want to continue down Source Point.
Do we have Good Boy?
Well, you can talk about Good Boy. Go for it.
Well, all right. 1 second.
Is that possibly attached to artandersoncomic.com?
No, this was not artandersoncomics.com, but it's close enough.
Okay.
It's people who work with the people who did artandersoncomic.com.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Just to make sure that website's out there.
Oh, there went Jordan.
Yeah, Ralph, we'll be in the back room for a second. So, this beautiful book in my hand right here is Good Boy. Basically, as I've said for every show for like the last 2 weeks, John Wick, but in reverse. Instead of the dog dying at the beginning, it's the human dying. And so, like John Wick, the dog goes on the rampage, or Flint goes on a rampage, killing just about everyone in his path. This omnibus collects all 3 volumes into a 250 plus page hardcover or soft cover. 32,587. So it's already been funded.
They hint at Good Girl.
Bad Girl.
Right.
Bad Girl is the next stretch goal, I believe. Which is set in the same universe, but that's about as far as I know.
It's about a cat.
Well, yeah. Thank you.
Who goes on a rampage.
I mean, I would
stop for the owner.
So since we're plugging or talking about projects of in this
sure,
way,
go right ahead.
So some of you guys know about it. Some of you don't know about it. I produced a coloring book this year as a charity
Oh,
event.
right.
And it was self-published. And I actually sold my last one at Doctor Who at LI Who 2 weeks ago. So I will be making my donations for to the charities that I announced, which was Make a Wish and Select Children's Foundation. And I'm in the process of building a new coloring book for 2023. So I'm waiting for my artists. I put a lot of calls out to a lot of people I've met over the last 11 years being Mr. PoppinTwist, and some guys say yes, some guys say no, and some guys say maybe. So I'm hoping to turn those maybes into yeses so I can get another book going on. But we
I
did
have
make
to
it.
ask
You, because I know you were talking about the fact that you were about to sell out at LI Who.
Yeah. Yep.
So you did sell out.
So I have in possession right now. I have 4 left that are going to artists that are inside the coloring book who I've not mailed them to yet. But as a whole, there's not one that is not in the hands of somebody at this point, which is really awesome. I'm about I was just like right around $500. I haven't added it all up yet, but it's around $500 is going to charity. That's just not bad for a an in-person sales plan with a donation based goal, but. Hey, every little bit helps, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. If I can plug our charity event that
Go for it.
started COVID, called Field Event, and we sell different Supershow products and take donations to get brand new toys. First year we did a van load of toys that we had dropped off to one of the local wrestling promotions who was raising money for raising toys for us. The following year we were able to do almost 2 van loads of toys, and we are on there again this year. I think next year we 18 cases of toys that were donated, all brand new stuff. If you're interested in donating anything to the Field Van, all the information is on supershowthegame.com. You can fill the. We actually have different not exclusive, but autographs and prizes and worth that you get if you make donation. And then we spent from the donation toys. So we did it during COVID because COVID was very rough for a lot of people. We were fortunate that the Super Show community played online regularly during COVID, so we actually keep our business afloat. And we thought that in a time where so many people were having such a rough time, it'd be great to start giving back even on a small scale. Check out the charity that we started. Be the 3rd year we're doing it, and we have a lot of stuff already. So we're really proud of what we've raised through that.
Very good. All right, guys. Who's next?
Lou.
Continue to support good guys like Steve and PoppinTwist
and Lou.
Armin Nassine.
The Kickstarter you're a part of?
Smoke is still on Kickstarter.
Oh, the Kickstarter he's a
Still
part
got
of.
time to get on that one. And yeah, this weekend, don't miss out on the what's it? Chiller Fest at MCon. It's going to be awesome. And the weekend after, if you can hit the Cradle of Aviation for a 1-day show on Saturday, December 10th, it's going to be a banger.
Don't forget the Kickstarter you're a part of.
Lunar Smoke #2, Sexy Space Cowgirl comic. She's the sheriff of the moon, and she wants all the smoke. 24 pages, full color, NSF. Okay, I can't. I'm out, guys. I'm out, though. I appreciate it, but I'm out.
This is a great book. Our pal Shadow Rabbit is part of it. Go ahead, Shadow.
You're too good at selling these things, man. You get in the zone there. I don't know how much further you want to scroll.
Tell us your role in the Kickstarter, my friend, and what's the book really about?
It's about a good time.
Ralph, just scroll all the way fast.
Yeah, you just scroll. But yeah, Armin's a good guy, and there's a lot of preview pages here. I know you want to scroll through, but
dude, yeah, at least you get a good idea of what the book is because this stuff looks beautiful. Some of it looks a little too beautiful for screen time.
But there's a lot of good stuff on there.
It definitely is. He really packs it in.
Yeah, check that out. That'd be mighty funny.
You doing
There we
sculpture
go.
for this? Oh yeah, I was saying I know what you do, and I was looking for the picture, and now I see it.
It took me a while to get there. Of course, Shadow Rabbit has his tier here on the book itself. Doing his amazing thing. These are little Shadow Rabbit exclusive pieces there as well.
As far as I'm concerned, that's worth it right there. That's worth supporting it right there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep.
Shadow Rabbit is the man, and he can make your dream into reality. You should commission him to make your dreams come to life.
You might not get a figure for $2, but you definitely can for $100.
Hey man, you said it this
Keep
time. I
rubbing
didn't.
that in.
Hey, I didn't say a thing, Lou.
All right, Nat. I guess you're up now.
Yeah, I think I am.
I beg it for free. If you talk nice to me, man, I gotta tell you, I'm susceptible to.
I mean,
flattery,
clearly it worked.
and I like making cool stuff for cool people. So
Wait,
for real,
if
just
Lou ever
let me know.
made a sculpture for you, raise your hand.
You can't see me, but my hand is up.
Dude, wait. Since you guys want to talk about the stuff that Lewis made, I guess I get a chance to show off the my beautiful Hugbert piece. There it is.
Oh,
It's
that's
the beautiful
amazing.
Hugbert from the comic book that I'm working on, and Lou made it come to life. My superhero teddy bear, and he does an amazing job. I tell you, he helped my dream come to reality, and that's why I say, if you want your dream to come to reality, you should commission Lou, and he will make it happen.
Yep.
Indeed.
That's an incredible piece right there. Yeah.
You guys too.
I don't know, Steve.
I think
Hugbert,
out of
Hugbert,
all of us,
Hugbert.
aside from Lou, I think Shen, aka Flushmallow, has the most amount of figures from him.
I think so. Speaking of Flushmallow,
Speaking of which, please. Speaking of an actually talented artist, can you tell us about Flush Mallow?
Wow, but Lou, you're right there.
No, she's incredible, and let's
Indeed
see why.
she is. So 3 days to go. Genshin X Pokemon, these are a bunch of pins. And currently, if you support enough for any one pin, and if they reach, I believe it's 5K, you will get an additional free pin.
Nice.
That's right. If you buy one pin and they reach 5K, is it 5K or is it 8K?
I thought
I
it
can't
was
read.
6K.
6K.
Another tier here. The shiny
Yes,
Eevee?
this tier has come up within the last 24 hours, where if you buy any pin and they reach 6K, boom, instant additional pin.
Well, Nat, it says it unlocks a 6K, but it's free to all supporters at 8K.
Listen, I'm on my phone. I can't read the fine text.
But dude,
I
these
don't
pins
have
are
connection to my
fantastic.
normal setup. You know this. I just know what the premise is. I can't read it. It's too small.
I know I've had to
Can
keep
they
putting
offer you this deal all day, or do you think people ought to commit right now?
Someone digs the Eevee evolutions here.
Dude, the
Yes.
Genshin Eevee mixture is fantastic.
Yes. All this is done by our wonderful, talented local Ben Apple artist, Shen, aka Flushmallow, which you should follow on Instagram and Twitter and all other social medias. But she done amazing art with these pieces. And not only that, if you reach, I believe it is 2 pins, you get a free print, and you can add on additional prints with it if you so care. And if you buy all 9, you get this a beautiful Bitsy tandem pin with Hu Tao. And I believe at 7 or more, I can't read the fine text right now, but you get a sticker sheet. That's right, a free sticker sheet. And you can also have them get turned into little plushies. It's the one right after this.
No.
Yeah, you can get them into little plushies as an add-on. All this. Just support. There's 3 days left. They're trying to reach at least 8K, guys. We can do it. You know you want this stuff. Just share it. Share it with everyone. Share it all. Get all the evolutions. Scarlet and Violet are out. You know you want to celebrate with it.
Exactly.
I feel like we're watching a Shop at Home network.
It does
What
feel
I've
like
got
that,
for
doesn't it?
you is a deal that's too good to pass up.
Exactly.
If you
Let me-
order right now,
Let me
I
tell
will
you
add
what
an
we got.
additional signing to each pin.
Oh my God, I love this
If
place.
you get them up to 8,000, Nat will be your personal best friend for a day.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know,
Personal
Listen,
best
just
friend.
because I need friends, I don't know if I can just open up personal.
and Nat doesn't make friends with anybody. You know, he's very anti-friendly.
But
That
for
is how
8K,
committed
he can
he
have
is
that
for her.
conversation.
I put the link.
So
in
am I
the
opening an
comments
OnlyFans
there.
now? Is that what this is?
Exactly.
I mean, Lou's already done it. Why not you?
Okay,
Listen, I
one last
managed
thing,
this.
you know, since we're supporting our friends here, Cadma, of course, for she's always selling the wine, but she wanted me to bring it up that One Hope Wine, she has her own store. If you guys want to help out, you can buy your wine because we're all gonna have wine for the holidays with Cadma's little piece here. You help her, you buy some wine, you get a good time, and you help Cadma out. So, that's One Hope Wine with Chanley, which is, of course, our beautiful Cadma. And who doesn't need any more wine? I know I need some more wine. There you have it. It's in the comment section below or on the side or wherever you want to say it. And I think with that, we have everything done. Unless I missed something, guys.
You forgot to tell us how beautiful we are today.
You guys know you're all beautiful people to me, and beautiful
There.
people in general.
Okay, now we're good.
Doesn't have to
It's
pander
just the
to the
love I
most
share with
beautiful
all you guys.
people in
Come
the
on.
world.
Exactly. So I'll do what I always do. I will press the button on